Yo guys, what is going on? So got a rulings video slash kind of tutorial for you guys. Anyone who's not super familiar with the cards out of set 10 cross encounter. So I've got a couple of new decks here built. So I'm just going to kind of talk about some rulings that I think you guys should know, or things that might come up in case you're playing at like locals or like an event or something. This is by no means comprehensive. I'm sure there's tons of stuff I missed. This is just kind of the first like interactions that kind of came to my mind. So I'll just be talking about like some of the main decks and mechanics. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing I kind of want to point out is some of the new text on the cards and kind of new mechanics involving the tamers. So the new tamers out of set 10 actually have effects where you can put Digimon underneath them as inherited effects. So Taiki here says, on play, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 card with cross heart in its traits amongst them to your hand, and return and as well as 1 Digimon with cross hearts under its traits underneath this tamer. So if you go ahead and reveal the top 4, you get to take one of these cards. So these are the these cards with cross heart in it. So if you look at the bottom right here, it says cross heart. But also the tamers in the set have started to have traits as well. That wasn't really a thing before. So note that both this yellow tamer Akari / Angie as well as Taiki both have cross heart in the text there. So you can technically, off of Taiki's effect, you can add you can choose both of these cards. So let's say, for the sake of this example, these are my 4 revealed cards. I'm going to add one of them to my hand, so I'll take this card to my hand, and then I'm going to go ahead and stick this Digimon underneath one of my tamers, or underneath this tamer. So I'm going to put Starmons underneath this as an inherited effect, and then the rest will go to the bottom. And the reason that's relevant is because of Taiki's second effect, where it says, when playing one of your Digimon with Digi-Xros requirements, by suspending this tamer, you can also use cards underneath this as Digivolution Swords for that Digi-Xros. So what exactly is Digi-Xros? Well, Digi-Xros is a new mechanic here, and in the Shoutmon deck, there are 2 of the main cards that have it. So if you look at this card, Shoutmon Cross 4, at the bottom, and there's a green text box that says Digi-Xros 2, and then it has a bunch of Digimon names next to it. So the keyword kind of explains what you're supposed to do, but the general idea here is, let's say I'm attempting to play this card from my hand. So normally this card has a play cost of 9, so what I would have to do is move my memory gauge over the 9 over, so 6 on my opponent's side. But for this card, since it has Digi-Xros, it says when you would play this card, you may place 1 each of the listed cards from your hand / battle area as the bottom Digivolution cards, and then you reduce the play cost of this card by 2 for each card. But since it's Digi-Xros 2, you reduce it by 2 for each card played. Some other Digimon have different Digi-Xros, like if it was Digi-Xros 3, you would reduce it by 3 for each card. So the listed cards mean those Digimon right there, Shoutmon, Ballistamon, Darulu, and Starmons. So what I can do is, as I'm playing this from my hand, I can utilize the Digi-Xros. So what you would do is, like, you would say, I'm going to play this, I'm going to utilize the Digi-Xros, so I'm going to stick the materials and underneath that Digimon. And you don't have to have all of them. It's basically you just do as many as you can. So here I've got the Darulumon, Starmons, and Ballistamon in my hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these underneath him as materials. And the order you do this in is the Digi-Xros order that's listed from left to right. So since I don't have Shoutmon, I'm going to skip that one, but I've got Ballista and then Darulu and Starmon. So the order is going to be like this, and then these will go as the bottom Digivolution cards of the Shoutmon Cross 4. So now that you have done this, your Digi-Xros is successful, the Digimon has been played, and you reduce the play cost for 2 for each card played. Since I played 3 of these, I'm going to reduce it by 6, so it's only going to cost 3 instead of the typical 9. So that's essentially how you do the Digi-Xros here, and he's also got some other effects that you can utilize as well, but mainly I just want to talk about the Digi-Xros. Now, one thing I could have done differently here was I could have, instead of using the Starmons from my hand, I could utilize Mikey's effect. So what I would do is, then in that case, I could use the Shoutmon Cross 4. I could be like, okay, I'm going to Digi-Cross this, and then I'm also going to, your turn, since this requirement is met, I can suspend this tamer, and then I can also place cards from underneath your tamers as Digivolution sources for Digi-Cross. So since I'm Digi-Crossing, I can suspend Mikey, and at the same time, now I can use, okay, I'll use the Ballistamon from hand, Darulumon from hand, and then Starmons from underneath my Mikey. So you can see how that could become really useful. And then in this case, it would be the same 9 - 6 for a 3 cost here. And then just kind of going off of this, the Shoutmon combo here is really nice because what you can do is if he had like the Shoutmon underneath him, so let's say I had this Shoutmon underneath him, so let's say instead of just those 3 I had a Digi-Xros for the full 4, and in that case instead of costing 3 he would have only costed 1 here. And then this Shoutmon has the inherited effect of while this Digimon has Shoutmon in its name, it gains Rush. So what I could do is I could immediately attack and then you know, check a security or kill Digimon or whatever, and then it says at the end of attack you may place all this Digimon's Digivolution cards underneath one of your tamers in order to unsuspend one of your tamers. So now I'm going to go ahead and do that, put these all as inherited effects underneath my Mikey here, or my Taiki, and then unsuspend one of my tamers, boom. And then if you do, delete this Digimon, so this Digimon dies. So then if I have like another Digi-Xros Digimon in my hand, so this is the second one from the Shoutmon deck. This is Shoutmon Cross 5. Well, actually, I think there's more, but these are the only ones that are like actually played in the deck. But regardless, this Digimon also has Digi-Cross by 2. So let's say if I wanted to play this one for my hand, I would say, okay, I'm going to play this. I'm declaring Digi-Cross. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place all these cards from my hand and or battle area. However, I only have 3 of them in hand. So what I could do is I could then use, you know, Shoutmon, Starmons, Sparamon, since they're all listed on Shoutmon Cross 5 here, and of course I would put them in this order. So I could play him for a cost of 10 minus 6 for a cost of 4 there, or what I could do is, again, since I have Mikey here and he's unsuspended, I could then just use his effect to suspend him when I'm Digi-Crossing, put all of these underneath because there's no limit to how many you can put underneath, and then I can still then put the Sparamon for my hand. So then in this scenario I would have Digi-Cross 2 reduced by 2 for each place, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so then he would cost 0. So that's one of the things that's really powerful about the Shoutmon deck. So that's essentially how the Digi-Cross mechanic works. It's pretty similar in all the other decks. For example, let's get this out of the way. The blue flare deck here has the Metal Greymon here. So if I got Male Bergermon, Greymon, Metal Greymon. Okay, so this one has another Digi-Cross Digimon. So this one is Metal Greymon. He's got Digi-Cross 2, Greymon, Male Bergermon. So again, I could play this card for the full cost if this is my hand. I could play this for a cost of 7 if I wanted to, and then maybe, you know, he'd get his own play. But I could also, you know, when I'm playing this declared Digi-Cross, I can then stick the Greymon and Male Bergermon in it, and this order specifically because it's Greymon, Male Bergermon, to reduce it by 2 for each since it's Digi-Cross 2. So this would only cost me 3 memory here, and so it's pretty much the same. They'll always explain what you're supposed to do here. There's another Digi-Cross condition that's a little bit more flexible. So for example, the Bagra army has this Mad Leomon where it says Digi-Cross 2, 1 Digimon with Bagra army in its trait. So this one actually doesn't specify like a specific Digimon by name, so you can use like any of these Digimon. This one's Bagra army, this one's Bagra army. I think itself is Bagra army too, so even if you had 2 Mad Leomon, you would just play this Digi-Cross, stick something underneath from your battle area or your hand, and then reduce the cost by 5. Instead of being 5, it would only be a 3 cost. So that's essentially how the Digi-Cross mechanic works. Okay, so then the next deck I want to talk about is going to be Minerva Loop, because this is a pretty complicated deck because of the fact that it's a purple color and there's a lot of different effects going on. So I just want to talk about like the main kind of combos you got here. So with Minervamon, typically what you're trying to do is do something like this. So if you got like a Minervamon, let's say you got like a full style, like I don't know, like something like Eismon here. So you got like Eismon, and then you've got like a Cerberusmon and a Minervamon. Okay, so what you could do is if you got your Minervamon, maybe you attacked or something this turn. So Minervamon has the effect of on deletion if your opponent has 2 or less Digimon in play. You may play a purple level 5 or lower Digimon or 1 Mervamon from your trash without paying memory cost. Mervamon's not in the game yet, so you don't have to worry about that. So you're typically using this to play purple level 5 or lower Digimon. So one of the main kind of combos here is like, let's say I've got like this card in my trash. So what you can do is you can play Revival from the Darkness. So I can go ahead and resolve this effect which says delete one of your purple Digimon. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. This is in the trash. And then I can play 1 level 5 or lower purple Digimon from my trash without paying its memory cost. And then of course on play effects don't activate. So I can go ahead and play the Cerberusmon that was underneath my Minervamon, and then Minervamon's effect will activate. Since it is actually still in the trash, it wouldn't work, for example, if you'd use Calling from Darkness instead. So let's say, for example, I had Calling from Darkness, so my stack was here, and I said, I'm going to Calling from Darkness, pay one for this, so let's say I started here, I'm going to pay 1 for this, delete this stack, and then add back these 2 Digimon from my hand, from my trash to my hand. But now, since this isn't in the trash, there's no, like, Digimon need to be in the same place to trigger their on deletion effects, or their effects wherever they are. If they left the field, they can't trigger from field. So it's the same scenario as like the Eismon Calling from Darkness interaction, where you can't like Eismon, if it didn't die or something, you can't Calling from Darkness, pop this, add this back, and then resolve this, because this is in your hand now, so you can't actually resolve the trigger. So that's something to keep in mind. But let's say in this scenario, I'm going to play Revival from Darkness, pay the 4, delete the Minervamon, and then play back the Cerberusmon. Minervamon will then resolve. Minervamon says on deletion, if your opponent has 2 or less Digimon, so let's assume they got nothing on field, I can play purple level 5 or lower. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and play the Cerberusmon Werewolf mode. And then I can also, of course, use the Demi-Meritmon to draw and discard 1 as well. And then what you're going to do is you're going to Cerberusmon Werewolf mode on play. Since Minervamon doesn't restrict you, you can then pop this to gain back 9 memory, and then of course on deletion draw 2, discard 1. So that's kind of the main combo there, and then you can maybe like go into another Minervamon and continue the loop. So just keep in mind the timing of all this. Like, you need to have certain things in the trash to be able to resolve. One cool thing you can do. So then let's say in a scenario where you have like a werewolf mode in hand or something, but you want to be able to get its effect off from a Minervamon. So one thing you could do is something like Revival from Darkness, and then delete this to be able to play a purple level 5 Digimon. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. Now all of this is in the trash. So since Minervamon was deleted, the next triggers that happen are both Minervamon's as well as Demi-Mera's triggers. So I can choose to order those however I want. So I'm going to choose Demi-Mera first. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a card, and then I'm going to go ahead and discard a card. And keep in mind, all of this whole stack is like in the trash right now. This is all in the trash. So I'm going to draw 1, discard 1, and then I'm going to resolve Minervamon to be able to play the Cerberusmon, even though it wasn't there when I had deleted the Minervamon, because I resolved Demi-Mera first. So then afterwards, Cerberusmon is going to hit the board. This is all in the trash again, and then the trigger will happen on play. I'll be able to delete the Cerberusmon, gain a bunch of memory, and then draw some cards as well. So that's another cool interaction you should keep in mind. So Minerva loop, lots of really complicated interactions, but it's a really, really cool deck regardless. Okay, so then the last card I want to talk about is going to be Venusmon. This card can cause a lot of headaches, and so I just want to kind of clear up maybe some confusions about this card. So let's say there's this scenario where like my opponent's got like this Alphamon here. It doesn't really matter what it is. I guess this could be also Doragreymon, but just something with like Sec Attack +1. So I've got this on the field. I Digivolved this last turn, so I Digivolved. All of your opponent's Digimon get Sec Attack -1. Let's say I've got like a security card or something. So all my opponent's Digimon get Sec Attack -1, and then during my opponent's turn, their Sec Attack Digimon can't attack this Digimon, and then also their when Digivolving and when attacking effects do not apply. So Alphamon, for example, right, this Digimon has Sec Attack +1 from this, and it also has Sec Attack - from this. So it's technically right now at Sec Attack 0. Or like Sec Attack 1, I should say. Like it's at neutral, so it would check 1 card when it swings, right? So I'm going to go ahead and declare my opponent's going to go ahead and declare the attack. However, he cannot use the when attacking here to pay up to 5 memory to gain blah blah blah. So he can't actually use the when attacking because Venusmon's effect still applies. Now you might be thinking, well, how come? Because it's at neutral, right? The Sec Attack 1 and -1 cancel each other out. And while it is at neutral, so if it if it attacks security, it would hit a security card and check a security card. However, because it has both of those keywords individually, it technically has Sec Attack +1 and Sec Attack -1 like listed on the card, or that's how like it's treated as. So because it still has those keywords, it can't actually use the when attacking effect. thanks to Venusmon here. So let's look at another scenario here. So here my opponent has a Metal Greymon stack here with the Sec Attack +1 Greymon on underneath it, and then I've still got the Venusmon here. But let's say, just for the sake of this, a turn has passed, so the one Digivolving isn't applying anymore, but it's my opponent's turn, and they go ahead and declare and attack. So one thing they still can't do, of course, because they've got Sec Attack +1 here, they can't use this one attacking effect either, because again, this is treated just as if it was Metal Greymon's effect. So because it has Sec Attack, it can't use any sort of one attacking effects. So, well, what if we change the scenario up a little bit? What if, like, let's say it doesn't have any Sec Attack right now, like, so it's just neutral, right? What if we Digivolve Metal Greymon X Antibody on top of it, okay? So we Digivolve it, right? Because right now, as you're Digivolving it, it's still neutral, so it doesn't have Sec Attack, so it can't activate its one Digivolving effect, right? So then you go, when Digivolving, this Digimon gains Sec Attack +1 for the turn, and then it still gets the remainder of that effect. Then if Metal Greymon or X Antibody is in its Digivolution sources, it gets +3000. So it would still get the remainder of the effect because the effect has already happened. Venusmon does not like negate any effects. It just says their when Digivolving and when attacking effects don't activate, but since it's already activated, it just resolves. So Venusmon doesn't affect, like, in this scenario. However, now, like, let's say they had like War Greymon X in their hand or something. So now that it's gained Sec Attack +1 for the turn, if it attacks security, because it has Sec Attack, it won't be able to use the X Antibody to go ahead and Digivolve into the War Greymon X. And then lastly, one thing I did want to mention, one honorable mentions, is going to be Omnimon X Antibody. Not so much as a ruling question, rather than a caution here, because of the fact that the English version, the official English version, is mistranslated. I do believe the one that Bandai revealed does say you can place does say when a Digimon with X Antibody in its traits would Digivolve. So it implies that any Digimon that has like X Antibody type, for example, like a War Greymon X or Metal Greymon X or something, can Digivolve this for a reduced cost of 2, but it actually refers to the option card specifically, as do all like the X Antibody Digimon when they're using their effects. They always refer to like the option card itself. So that is definitely just something to keep in mind. One last thing before I forget, did forget to include this one in the video, but I definitely wanted to talk about it. Sakuyamon Miko mode. This card is really, really cool because when Digivolving, it lets you use an option card with plugin in its name, or one that's yellow and a memory cost of 5 or less from your hand, ignoring coloring restriction and without paying the memory cost. And then after using the option card, instead of trashing it, it goes on top of your security stack face down. So there has been a question brought up on, well, what happens when you play Tactical Retreat off of the Miko mode? Because Tactical Retreat is indeed a 5-cost yellow option card, 5 cost or lower, that you can play with this. So what happens is that when you Digivolve Miko mode and then you play Tactical Retreat, Miko mode's effect says you, after using that option card, you put it on top of your security. So what you would do is, since her effect is already triggered, you'd play the Tactical Retreat, and then you resolve Tactical Retreat's effect. So Tactical Retreat says place one of your Digimon, so you would put Sakuyamon on top of your security, and then the lingering effect still happens because it's already halfway done resolving, so you can't just like not finish the rest. So it then says after using the option card, you put it on top of your security stack. So then Tactical Retreat would follow Sakuyamon on top of the security stack, effectively letting you recover 2 off of this interaction. So just keep that in mind in case anyone was wondering about that. I don't know if that comes up too much. Typically people are playing like Sunrise Buster off of her, but it might come up it regardless. So, but anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Thought I'd try something different, and I really enjoyed making this one. So if you do have any questions or comments or anything like that, feedback, let me know down in the comment section below. But anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.